one of the things, I don't know how many people saw Mr. Giordano's smart board, right? He had real specific questions to ask yourself as you were looking at somebody else's work, to help you give meaningful feedback.
He gave us example questions of what to use, like when we're asking a question about somebody else's piece, or when we were writing on the slips, what could they do better on their piece? Could they add more details? Could they add a conclusion? Could they try to strive for the 4? Like, it's trying to push yourself, those questions.
You know what's so interesting? Every time you speak, Matthew, you go back and forth between being a visitor in the classroom and between being a student in the classroom. Because all 3 classes that we visited happen to be classes that you're a part of also. So that's a really interesting perspective for me to see you go back and forth like that and look at the big picture and then put yourself into it and how it helped, those kind of things help you in the classroom. So that's a pretty cool perspective
Thank you.
to have.
In Miss McDonald's class, they had standards, and they, as a class, they annotated the standards so they better understood what their goal was and what they had to do to get a 4 or whatever grade that they wanted to get on that.
And that's, right, the core of working in the classroom is if you understand what you have to do, you're gonna do that work better, right? That has to come first before you can even begin your work. So that was a good noticing too, to see that the teachers are taking steps to ensure that you really have that good understanding.
I was in the Formative class last year. She told me sometimes students understand it better when a student just tells them and explains it to them. So that always stuck with me. And now it really helps because I saw them like talking about it and asking questions, and then another student would like build upon it, answer it, then they would be like, oh, okay, I get it now, and it really helps them. So that really like boosts them up.
And the last big topic that we looked at was assessment. And I know you had a lot of feedback because we saw assessment in every classroom and you had a lot of feedback on that. So again, what can we say about the importance of feedback in making kids learn?
I liked how like they were helping each other because like they were adding ideas. Like if one person got a 3, you could add ideas and tell them what they could do to get a 4. And it's like, it's easier because it's like more kid-friendly, like vocabulary.
I agree. I like that he takes the time to explain how to get a 4, not only telling us, showing us the rubric, that he takes the time to show us what a rebuttal is and what a counterclaim is.
You also made a sheet that it was to plan out, and he gave us the standard, the 7th grade standard. It says I can make a rebuttal and counterclaim to weaken my opponent's argument. And I like how he like broke it down into like how you could start your rebuttal, how you could, and then he even did it with us. Like he did it for fair. He did the rebuttal of how you could do it for not fair and how to weaken it.
Okay, so that goes back to modeling too that we already talked about and being clear of what's expected of you.
Also, the learning standard is always evident. So when I walk into class, I usually copy it down. In Mr. G's class, he's always got learning goal, and then he tells us to copy it.
Yeah, he's like, copy
Miss
this, guys.
Roncacio's, she has it up on this big post-it thing, and then she writes the learning standard down, and then we copy it. So it helps us like what we're trying to achieve, what goal we're.
You really understand.
And then like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you
what
could
you're
talk
doing.
about it, and then you could be like, okay, I really understand it now. And then they would go home and they would like remember it. Then the next day, if you work on something like connected and adding on to it, it could really like help them really understand the topic.
Miss Brancacio's, so everybody's like involved and they can understand it and it's more fun. She does like student models. So we're doing rules to live by in class, and she did a student model, like a format to be like advanced. And so I helped out and we made it together as like a class, and we all wrote down our ideas.
Okay.
I like that too because it kind of would inspire me to make like a different rule. Like I could add on to my rule because with whatever is on the board. I thought it was really cool too.
So just reflect on yourself now. How important is it to get feedback through self-assessment and peer assessment?
Really important.
Can you tell me why that's important and how it makes?
Can I just give an example? Because when I hear peer assessment or self-assessment, I always think, well, at first, if you think yes for something, somebody else thinks no. When you talk to each other, you can influence each other and change perspectives. So it really, when you peer assess with someone, it's not only your thoughts, but it's somebody else's. And if they're the exact opposite than you, they can change your mind or you can change theirs. So it's...
Okay.
And like Mr. G and Miss Brancaccio, they always remind us that like when you're peer assessing somebody, it's not about like the friendship or something. You're giving them honest opinions, and so that always helps us. Like when say I'm doing like my friends, and I'm not gonna give them a grade. Like last week I had to do that because it was like not that good, but I had to be honest about it.
Okay.
I was reading somebody's peer assessing, right? And they were good friends, and they were saying, I don't want to give them this grade but they're like, but I have to be brutally honest. And they looked at the rubric and they tried to give the grade that was like true.
Like
They weren't
reasonable.
exactly. They weren't trying to like just be nice because you're my friend. You got a 4, okay? They weren't trying to do that.
And sometimes you have to be critical of yourself, right, with peer assessment to say, this is where
gotta
it fits,
really-
and if I did more work, I could improve my grade.
Sometimes you gotta let
Right.
yourself down and then push yourself back up there.
Right.
I think sometimes it's hard to self-assess because you don't want to fail yourself. You don't want to give yourself a 2. You want to always give yourself a 4. So sometimes when you peer assess, you don't actually give yourself the true grade.
Even when you peer assess yourself, just like Myra says, you're not going to give yourself the true grade. You're going to always try to do better. You're always going to pick the highest to make the teacher, but then the teacher recognizes this kid didn't get that. If it's because self-assessment, you have to be honest with yourself. Did I really get a 3? Did I get a 2? Did I get a 1? Did I get a 4? So when you're doing a piece, you have to be honest with yourself, because if you don't be honest with yourself, you're not going to get anywhere.